A very good evening to everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Different News. Today, I have a visionary leader with me, Balaji Pasumarthy, the founder of Liberated Enterprise Creators. Welcome, Balaji, and thank you so much for accepting my invite and being my guest on my podcast, The Different News. It's a pleasure and honor to host you today.
Thank you, Dr. Gargi. It's really a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I think to my audience, we have a lot of things to learn from this episode. But nowadays, and even before, we keep hearing about entrepreneurship, building community. But the point is, do we really know how to build a community, how to build a business from scratch? Well, my guest today will give us a lot of insights on that because he is a pioneer in this field. So today, basically, we will focus our conversation around, say, how to build and nurture and scale a business community from zero. So I think Balaji, it will be very interesting and a lot of insights and learning that we will get from you. So before we get into asking you questions, my favorite question is always to learn about the journey and of my guest. And so please tell us about your journey and how you landed up with Liberated Enterprise Creators.
Sure, Dr. Gargi. So I think my journey really is about my relationship with work. And to maybe set the background over here, think about the words which come to you when you think about work. Okay, is it something that you look forward to, or is it something that you kind of say, okay, fine, I have to do this? Otherwise, how do I take care of my family, home, etc., etc.? Right? Am I right? So, work is not something that I really want to do this. Very rarely do we associate work with joy. Uh, so, I think my journey really has been about can work be joy? Is it possible? And can we get lost in our work so that we don't even notice the time pass? Is it possible that we can do that? And I can tell you that this is what my definition of work is, which wasn't, I don't know how early I should go back, but essentially, I remember when I was preparing for my IIT, JEE exams, I wasn't really a bright student, but I think I was very perseverant and I really wanted to make this happen. And my mother used to come and tell me, Balaji, you're working very hard. And I used to kind of look at her and say, why are you telling me this? Right? Because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Okay. So even though I was putting in those hours, I was, really working uh, hard. I was in my flow. I was really enjoying it. Right. So I
Right.
think that is the definition of work. So when you get lost in it and you're doing something valuable, you're creating something valuable, but you are totally lost in it. And I didn't get that same feeling of joy when I joined the corporate world. And I was feeling like a cog in the wheel. So decided very quickly in my career, just around 2 days after passing out of my IIM Bangalore, that the corporate world wasn't meant for me because I was not feeling that joy. So I decided to become an entrepreneur. And I made a very important choice that time. I said, okay, why am I doing this? Is it because I want a successful career? Or why? Because that path is already laid out for me as a IIT, IIM graduate. That path is already laid out in terms of the typical successful career. So I said, no, I'm doing this because it's a lifestyle choice. That I want to create a lifestyle where I have total freedom in terms of what I need to do on a day to day basis. And I'm creating a business so let me create a business which will run on its own, right? I'm not required day to day for it. And at the same time, can my team members feel joy? So when they come to Monday morning or Sunday morning is very similar to them. It doesn't matter. They're enjoying life as well as work. So can we create an organization like that? So that's how my journey started off around 30 years back. 1995 was when I started my first business. It's still on. We run co-working spaces called Golden Square offices. So I can say I'm a pioneer in this industry because the word co-working wasn't there at all in the popular vocabulary. And that business runs on its own. I don't get involved at all. We have 5 locations in Bangalore, totally self-funded. And why? So that I could make that culture like that, where people really enjoy what they do. And yeah, so but because of that, creating an organization like that, it freed up my time to do so many different things. So I also started a magazine called Business Gyan, which ran from 2001 to 2009, which gave me an opportunity to meet so many business leaders and interview them and so on and learn from them. And then along the journey, I started BNI in Bangalore. BNI is a worldwide organization focused on generating referrals for its members or connections to clients. And that, coming back to community, I think BNI Bangalore, the way we built it, was a really thriving community where people really are passionate about their their chapters, the way they kind of take ownership of various things that need to happen. uh, so here again, since you brought up the concept of community, so when you say joy, right, I think the best place where you see this kind of work is voluntary organizations, right? Because there people volunteer for doing different roles in voluntary organizations, not because of some reward or recognition or some money or something like that. They're purely doing it because of the cause, because they feel fulfilled when they do it and so on. So they really do the work because I want to, not because they have to. There's no compulsion there, but still people want to do it. And that is the purest energy that you want to tap into for work. And I'd say that you need to tap into that energy for your own business as well. Are people doing things because they want to, not because they have to? Right. So BNI Bangalore has been an amazing journey for me. So 2007 we started this, and I was actively hands-on as an executive director till 2022, and we built it into one of the largest regions in the world, with a lot of best practices which was shared across the country and the world. And then I decided that I need to focus on what you see on my screen, Liberated Enterprise Creators. So this, in terms of testing it out, started way back in 2016, when entrepreneurs started asking me, Balaji, how do you do it? How come your team members act like business owners? They take so much in ownership and so on, but we are consumed by team-related issues, right? And I started giving my concepts, and they started seeing the results. And by 2020, I think there were several success stories of entrepreneurs liberating themselves, freeing up their time, team members taking ownership, amazing results happening for their organizations. And I decided that since nobody talks about it, I need to talk about it. I need to share these things with entrepreneurs. And by 2022 end, I said, this is what I'm going to focus my time on: liberated enterprise creators. And this also, the way it is being created is, while there's a lot of content in terms of what's the knowledge, what's the know-how to create organizations like this, the way it's going to support entrepreneurs is through a peer mentoring community. Because that's how uh, I believe entrepreneurs will learn what it is to get others to do something purely from this energy of I want to do it, not because I have to do it. And unless entrepreneurs get exposed to that and they do those activities, they will not develop that muscle memory to do the same thing in their own organizations, right? So while there's a big knowledge component in liberated enterprise creators, how do you practice it? How do you get it into your system? Is by taking part in the peer mentoring community that we are building. So yeah, so that's the history. I enjoy what I do, liberating entrepreneurs and creating these. community.
Amazing. And thank you for sharing your journey. And I think this is very important. Like, as you said, when we talk about everybody and other day wants to do a business, that is something, and like creative minds. And me being an entrepreneur myself, I think every day we learn something. But as you said, that how to do it where I am not involved, the business runs in autopilot, or even the handholding part. So I would definitely like to just add on to your journey. Of course, I can't add on, but my experience when I attended your one of the workshops recently, the Alchemist, actually, um, it was very surprising to me, the format itself, because generally we go with a mindset ki somebody will come, they will show a ppt and they'll tell us to do some tasks. So that's the mindset of when we go to learn something in terms of workshop or so. But what I found very interesting, that people who are into the game and who have been mentored by you, they just come and share the story. And from, I mean, that means that's a real thing which is happening. It's not like theory or reading out from a book, or some kind of flashy slide. So I think I really enjoyed that. And thank you, Balaji, for sharing all the insights. And that's what, like, getting you on this podcast is a real privilege for me. Thank you. I think I'll have a lot of questions coming ahead for you.
Sure.
Um, so Balaji, like when most people start, so sometimes we always talk in terms of even starting as business, small, big, medium, whatever. The first thing is like target audience, right? And then when it is target audience, but when we talk about helping each other, like as you built BNI, as you have mentioned right now, I mean, just few minutes ago, about how you take your entrepreneurial students through a journey, through a hand holding. So it's all about community culture. So when you started, I'm sure the day zero, there was no community. So what was the first non-negotiable element you focused on, where you actually you created a platform, as well as you gave that sense of real belonging to people?
Okay, so here I think you are specifically talking about BNI, right? Uh, yeah.
Um, maybe
Hmm.
my question
Hmm.
is more like, because I have seen that there is a confusion when there's a small confusion which stands out when it's like audience and community. So that
Yes. Yeah.
demarcation I
Yeah.
would like to really learn from you. Yeah.
Sure. I think the so let me talk about both these communities and contrast it in terms of BNI and LEC. So BNI is actually from grounds up. It's a community, right? The whole thing is built around getting entrepreneurs, business owners together, business leaders together, with the sole purpose of helping each other get connected to clients. So at a very structural level itself, it's about building a community, and it's not about building an audience, right? Which might be the difference in LEC, because LEC is starts off with content, because it is a fundamental uh, paradigm shift in terms of how you look at business, how you look at work, and what are the practices we need to be adopting in our organization. So it kind of starts off with the learning aspect of it, and then because to implement it we have the peer mentoring and so on, and therefore the audience comes first, and then the community happens later from a peer mentoring point of view. So this is the two differences. So and the key thing is, if you want to build a community, it has to be participative, it cannot be an audience, right? It has to be, unless the community members feel that I need to do something for this community, it doesn't become a community, right? So that feeling has to come first. This belongs to me, and I need to contribute. I need to participate actively over here. So you're not, you're not the audience consuming something, but you're contributing something So that's a big difference. So if the word community means, by definition, possibly, is that people are coming there to play the game, not to just be an audience, consume something. And so yeah, so that's essentially what needs to happen. And from day one, we need to kind of get into activities where we are involving people, getting them to do something small, so that that feeling of this belongs to me happens.
I think you really simplified the concept, because I think this understanding is very necessary when we are trying to look at something what we even when we think of building. So, like as you said, BNI, the concept itself is a community building concept. So
Yes.
there, as you rightly said, participation and every people should feel important, and I also feel that it should be a win-win situation for everybody. So I think
Yes.
that's where the sense of community, being the belonging thing that you said, comes in. Yeah. So thank you so much for explaining us in a very simple way. So, just curious, Balaji, that when we start something, whether a business in terms of or building an ecosystem kind of a thing, my focus would be more on that, of course. So people don't know us, right? Suppose tomorrow I start something ecosystem. Not every people, a handful of people will know me. Not everyone will know
Yes.
me. So but to really grow a community kind of a thing or ecosystem kind of a thing, I need to earn trust. So in the early days, uh, how could one earn trust when nobody knows us, like unknown people? So how would you like to highlight that? Yeah.
Sure. I think there are two components which comes into play over here. One is one is what is a clear value that we can provide to people. But then that communication takes a long time to get transmitted if people don't know you, right? So, so for instance, when we started BNI in Bangalore, it was BNI itself was unknown in the country, right? It was, even though it was there in Mumbai for 3 years earlier to us, it was relatively nobody knew about it. So the only thing I could do, and I had fellow executive directors along with me, what we could do was tap into our existing connects, people who trust. So in fact, the first 100 or so members who joined BNI Bangalore were all personally known to us. Uh, and since I was running a magazine earlier and so on, so I had a fairly decent uh, network in place. So a lot of them were my existing connects from the magazine and my uh, co-working business, and that's the only way. So they join, and they get, if they like what they see, what they experience, they get their own friends to join, and that's how the community gets built up. And
So
after some
basically,
time, it takes its own momentum.
right, right.
Yeah.
So, like we say that charity begins at home, kind of a thing. Like we should, when we start something or think of building a ecosystem or community, probably, like as you rightly said, to we can start with the people already we know. So that makes maybe life easier a bit when it comes
Yes.
to building such things. Yeah, yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So, the thing is that when it comes to any community, whatever community it would be, like we are today talking about entrepreneurship, so any business community, there should be a shared purpose, right? Like generally community means there is a shared purpose, whether it is
Yes.
non-profit, profit, whatever. Now, how do founders or entrepreneurs define a mission that members, you know it's not like just agreeing to because one person is saying, the chairman or director is saying, but how actively each founder could show up for the same purpose. So,
Yeah.
hmm,
Yeah. So essentially, you got it very right. So any community that starts getting momentum is addressing a particular need or kind of a hunger which is there in the environment. Okay. So that and articulating that need. Hey, this is what is the pain that we need to solve together. I think that becomes a very important aspect of to just get started and give something momentum, right? So that becomes the starting point. And I think from the BNI point of view, the what's the hunger that we solved, or BNI has solved, is, cold calling is such a waste of time. It's such a pain. All business owners, they require business, and the way we are doing it is through cold calling, and it takes too much effort. It is such a pain. So we need a solution. So what's the solution? Referrals is a solution. Okay. And I think our founder, Dr. Ivan Meisner, uh, understood this pain, and he is the expert. He is the world expert on generating referrals. Okay, there's nobody better than him to understand what it takes to generate referrals for your business, and that's the core of it. So that's the hunger that BNI very, very clearly, focused on. I'll just recall one conversation I had with Dr. Ivan Meisner, and why it's so important to be laser focused on that, in that area. So, for example, one conversation I remember vividly with him, I was kind of maybe 3 or 4 years into BNI, and as an entrepreneur, I was kind of giving suggestions to him. I was saying, we help members get referrals, but we don't train members how to do the sale, how to close the deal, right? So they're getting connected to customers, but they don't know possibly how to close it. And he had a very interesting thought. He said, if you need to be mission focused. Okay. So what he said was, BNI is about referrals. There are other organizations who are very good at sales training. So as business owners, they need to tap into, different. So BNI is only about referrals. So that's the laser focus that, Dr. Ivan Meisner had or has. And I think that's the secret of how, because of, what led it to scale so much, right? Uh, so becoming crystal clear that this is the hunger that we are solving, and this
Hmm.
is what it is all about.
So
I
basically,
think that's the first part. Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah,
shared
yeah, please.
purpose in any community is basically that we need to identify that one big problem that exists, and w-
Yes.
can we all solve it together. So like in
Yes.
BNI, you talked about generating referral. I mean, we solve the problem of cold calling, and just I mean, really, that's a real pain. So I think thank you. I mean, I got that clarity. I think I'm sure that our
Yeah.
audience also took a lot of bites from this. Thank you, Balaji.
Yes.
So I don't remember the exact proverb, but just to summarize in English, like there's a proverb in Bengali which means, like, when there are too many minds, too many intellectual brains, sometimes things get messed up. So from that point, if as all the entrepreneurs are coming together or founders are coming together, so how can we define certain systems or rituals which actually at the early stage itself, when we are trying to build an ecosystem, so that when the community or the ecosystem is scaling, we don't have a problem. So
Yeah.
what would be your opinion on this?
Yes. So I think this might be a good time for me to present a particular model which I believe addresses this aspect of community creation, a movement creation very clearly. So let me just focus on the backside of my virtual background. So okay, so let me 1 second. Yeah. So this particular book, I read it quite some time back, The Starfish and the Spider. So the model that I'm presenting has come from there. Uh, so let me share what the model is. Okay. So to create any movement or community, so to say, The first thing that we need is what you see on top, the energy that we just talked about. Right? There has to be some hunger in the community, which kind of say, hey, we need a solution for this. Right? So the energy is the first starting point, and becoming very clear about it. And then we need a catalyst. So let me take the BNI example. BNI example, energy is, hey, cold calling is a pain, referrals are much better way of doing things. And we had a catalyst. We have a catalyst, Dr. Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI, right? But before going to the protocols and circles, what's most important is having clarity in terms of what are those principles. What are those principles which will make this happen? Okay. So, for instance, in if you want to generate a referral, the key principle in BNI is givers gain. Okay, what is that about? Nobody will help you unless you help them, right? So there's a reciprocity gap that needs to get created. Only then does a referral happen. Okay, so there are several other principles in BNI, but this is the core of it, that a referral will only happen if somebody wants to help you. And why will someone want to help you? Because you have helped them, or they have seen you help others, and they want to return the favor. So that's the core principle of BNI. Okay. So then, of course, you have circles in BNI. There are chapters, and each chapter has certain protocols. This is how you run a meeting. This is how decisions are taken. These are the policies and guidelines. And this is essentially, a very nice model in terms of how you can create a community. Okay, so let me take a liberated enterprise creators point. So what's the energy that I'm kind of so bothered about as a catalyst for LEC, right? The energy is, how come people don't enjoy work? Work should be joy, right? So that's the energy. How come people are so burnt out in their careers? How come entrepreneurs are trapped in their business? Okay, why aren't entrepreneurs enjoying what they do? Okay, so that is the energy that bothers me a lot, and that's the energy that I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs are kind of grappling with. In LEC, of course, I'm the catalyst. There are core principles. Okay, how do you understand work? Work needs to be joy. Okay, we need people's minds rather than their limbs. The traditional way of organizing work is broken because it started off in the assembly line, where we wanted people's limbs, we didn't want their minds. The business paradigm has changed, so we need a different way of organizing people, where we are tapping into people's minds. We are getting them to be engaged at work. We want them to fully be energetic in whatever they do. So we need to change the paradigm of how we organize people. We have just got started as far as circles are concerned, because most of the time so far in LEC, it was about grounding entrepreneurs on these principles and creating success stories to show that, hey, this works really. And we have got so many success stories of transformation. Now, the circles are forming. Why are the circles forming? There's another energy that we are tapping into, that as entrepreneurs, we need a lot of business insights. But the time of the expert is very expensive, right? If we engage an expert, a consultant, and so on, we can't afford it because there are several other priorities that we have for our funds, right? So, what's the best way to break that? Why can't I learn it from other entrepreneurs who have already practiced it in their own organization, right? And it's mutual. I'll share what I have implemented in my organization. You share what you have implemented in your organization. And that way, there is, at a fraction of the cost, we can get expert advice. Okay. So this is what we are building, the circles. Okay. And they'll have protocols and so on. You saw the alchemist circle gathering that you saw. Obviously, there's a protocol there. There's no selling happening. There's no visiting card exchange happening, right? The only thing that whole evening is designed around is, can I share something that has worked in my business, and can I seek out and see how you are doing something better than I'm doing in your business? Can you help me with that? Can you give me some tips? That's the protocol. Okay. So this is how you build, how we are building the community in LEC.
Yeah, I think I completely, very clearly remember the alchemy circles. Particularly the activity part, where you we sit on a table and we are just sharing, and somebody, all the big entrepreneurs or small entrepreneurs or whatever, I mean other entrepreneurs, are just helping you out with solutions to your one problem. I mean, how that was very interesting for me, because I think, as you rightly said, if I have to hire a consultant 100 times, I will think. Even it's not always about affordability, it's also about whether I should put so much of money or not. So
Yes.
so I think
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
very
And
new.
you brought in another very important point,
uh,
because you might get a consultant, but they may not be aligned to this aspect of it, that work needs to be joy, right? So they might be coming from a
exactly.
traditional habit or
Huh.
mindset, which might be totally irrelevant for you.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
rather, we get those tips from entrepreneurs who also are traveling in the same direction.
Thank you so much, Balaji. So in business, we all want, like as entrepreneurs, we always look forward to build a revenue flow which is sustainable. So my next question to you would be like, how can founders or entrepreneurs build sustainable revenue without turning their community into like a transactional network? Because community has a purpose, community solves something, it should be something where everybody finds value. But can you please enlighten us on this?
Yeah. So I think what I've seen is you can't mix the two up. In a sense, you can't think of the community, you can't use the same rules of the game that we are used to for creating business in terms of targets, in terms of profits, and so on, for your community. You can't do that. Okay, because if you want a strong community, if you want community to really participate and so on, okay, the driving instinct. Say, for example, in a sales organization, in a typical business organization where we are employing people and they are doing full time work, you can use the language of, hey, we need to grow our sales by so much percentage, only then we can give you all a bonus, right? You can use that language. Okay, but in the community, how does it matter to them, right? If you say that as an organization we need to grow so that our profits are high, so what is in it for me, right, as a community member? So that same language doesn't work over here. Okay. So the key thing is to align everybody's interest in such a way that everybody benefits, okay, for their own reasons. Okay, so it makes sense from their own point of view. So that is the key aspect of it. And uh, and the other key, I think, very important aspect of it is, since we want participation from people, only then a community belongs to them. If you go from that logic, right, when you're building a community, you should have very little overhead. Okay, so if you have very little overhead in terms of the corporate head office function and so on and so forth, then what happens is that the need to extract something from your community to manage the head office reduces quite a bit, right? In fact, ideally you shouldn't have a head office at all, ideally. Okay, so let me give a totally example and how powerful communities can be, right? So think of Wikipedia. It's an amazing community, right? The world's largest encyclopedia. Okay. And I remember meeting Jimmy Wales, I think it was 2006 or 2007 when I met him in Bangalore. And Wikipedia was already, doing so well, largest encyclopedia and so on. So I was asking, how big is your team? And that time he had only 4 people in his team. The
My
world's largest,
goodness.
yeah, exactly. And he was contemplating, should I hire one more person? Just 4 people, and managing the world's largest encyclopedia. And it's done. So the if you say the heavy lifting is done by the community, and all of them are volunteering their energies, their time. Okay. So this is a good example of why, if you're building a community, your overhead has to be very, very small, and you get your community members to participate and build the whole community, right? So then this dilemma of, hey, I need to extract something from the audience, so to say, becomes lesser and lesser. Okay. So I think that's and you can think of. I think the only way we can measure success in these kind of things is what kind of impact are we creating. Think about the impact that Wikipedia has created.
Absolutely. I'm surprised to hear this. Like you said, that when Wikipedia became Wikipedia, and it's like four people. That's how. Yeah. I think if we have that transactional mindset, then I think it's not community. It has to be like rightly you said. It has to be something like an office, and we are doing business. We're talking sales. We're talking numbers. So I think amazing insights. At least I don't know about others. I am having a lot of light bulb moments talking
Yeah.
to you. Yeah,
And the
yeah,
interesting thing is this, right? In our own businesses, people might be a constraint. I can only
yes,
hire one person, two people, where that's the kind of budget I have. But people is not a constraint in a community, right? Because the very definition of community, people need to participate, they need to do certain things, and we're not asking too much from them. We're asking maybe 1 or 2 hours kind of work from their side, maybe even lesser. But if you multiply it by the number in terms of how many people we have in the community, you don't have a shortage of talent. Okay. And
absolutely,
this is a very important insight. If you compare building a organization consisting of full-time employees versus building a
mm,
community.
correct, correct. So, we are almost at the concluding part of our conversation. So, what do you think that founders, when they try to build community, because that is one culture which actually is growing, over the past few years, and maybe there was before, but what I personally perceive in terms of digital communities as well, and also in-person communities. But what could be that one thing when the founders or any founder is trying to build a business community? What one mistake they generally do and could be avoided from day one?
Yeah. I think the first is, that the first part, the energy itself is not very clear. So people are doing all kinds of things. It's almost like chasing, shiny lights wherever they see. Oh, they are doing like this. Let us also do this. Okay. And I think that's a mistake. Everything needs to be tied into very tightly with what is the energy, what is it all about. Okay. And then developing those core ideology principles or ideology that we need to be following, okay, that because of which that energy gap will get addressed. Okay. So I think that's the most important thing, becoming very clear about what is it all about. Otherwise it just stays at, this is a nice place to just come, and you're just solving a social need of, I need to hang out with people.
True, true. So,
Yeah.
Balaji, I think it was a comprehensive crash course on how to build a community today. So, I think that was amazing talking to you. But just that before we end this conversation, is there any one message that you would like to tell to
Yeah.
founders who are existing and who are thinking to be or aspiring to be entrepreneurs?
So I think my key message is for entrepreneurs. Okay. That the kind of energy that you see in voluntary organization, people doing work out of joy, I think we need to see the same energy in our own organizations, business organizations as well. And that's what Liberated Enterprise Creators is all about. Why can't, so it doesn't matter whether someone is working full time or part time. The point is, in your organizations, can people be coming from this energy of, I want to do this rather than I am compelled to do this? So how can we create those environments within our organizations? And it's very important to do that because coming I keep hearing this about Gen Z and so on and so forth, right? How come they don't comply and they don't follow the norms and so on? You know what? More and more people want to do things from this energy of I want to. Don't compel me to do something. Okay, only when I feel there's a meaningful for me am I going to do that. And whether you like it or not, as a founder, those days of getting people to work by force is long gone, right? So the only way we can get awesome results from people is because they truly want to do something. So we need to learn how to make that happen.
So, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all your insights. It was very valuable for everybody. And just one last question, like if anybody wants to understand more about LSC, more about your programs, so how could they contact you? Would you like to share about that?
Oh, thanks so much. So I think the simplest is go to our website. There's a short URL, www.lec.fyi. So go there. Or you can search for me, Balaji Pasumarthy, in LinkedIn. I'm not so active in Facebook, but LinkedIn, once in a while, I do log in. So
Okay, okay. Thank you for sharing those details. And thank you everybody for watching this episode. I hope this would give a lot of insights, understanding how we build communities, what are the principles, what are the mistakes that we should not do as entrepreneurs. And thank you, Balaji, once again for your valuable time and insight. Thank you so much.
thank you so much.